All right, this is definitely not a video I saw myself making today, but it totally stemmed off of yesterday's Broncos deep dive, and I'm going to go for it. So I got just absolutely dragged through the woodwork on Twitter for this tweet of mine, and it totally stemmed, like I said, from that Broncos deep dive where I said that if Aaron Rodgers got traded to the Denver Broncos, that would be the best roster Rodgers has ever played with. And that stemmed into other conversations about would it be the best receiving core that he's ever had. And that took us to the 2011 Green Bay Packers that was objectively the best receiving core Rodgers ever had. And started comparing that to the Denver Broncos. And I stacked this thing up and I said Sutton over Greg Jennings, Judy over Jordy Nelson in 2011, Fant over Finley, Hamler over Cobb again in 2011, Tim Patrick over James Jones, and that Driver, I wish I didn't say washed, I wish I would have said afterthought because love me some Donald Driver. Now, I will say off the bat here that I did have a mistake. I thought that Jordy Nelson's breakout season was in 2012, not 2011. I learned don't tweet before you have your coffee, TFG, because that does change this thing, certainly. Jordy Nelson in 2011, the best receiver on this list. 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, had emerged as the Jordy Nelson that we know him to be. I was thinking it was a year later when I wrote this tweet. So if you want to shred me for that, that's fine. But even with that correction, I think this actually holds a lot of weight. So you would slide Jordy Nelson up for Greg Jennings, right, for the number one receiver to the Broncos' number one receiver, comparing him to Courtland Sutton. Now, again, I would flip that. I would say Nelson better than Sutton, but I think it's close. Sutton coming into 2011 has never had a quarterback, especially not a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, let alone a league average one, but coming into 2021 has shown more promise and production than Jordy Nelson did before 2011. I think physically speaking, Jordy a little faster, but Sutton certainly has the size, speed profile of a true number one receiver. And I'm going to throw out a couple PFF grades in this video. I realize PFF grades are not finite, but it is a nice just little piece to check because this was 10 years ago. It's just a nice mark in time to see how these guys graded out. Jordy Nelson in 2011, an 85 PFF grade. Courtland Sutton in 2019, again with Drew Lock, an 80 PFF grade. So to say Courtland Sutton couldn't be a true number one and be something close to Jordy Nelson, I think that's very reasonable, especially getting Aaron Rodgers in there. Rodgers did the same thing for a Jordy Nelson in 2011. So let's give the nod to Jordy Nelson there, but don't sleep on Courtland Sutton. That dude is a true alpha number one wide receiver, and I think if you give him Aaron Rodgers, he's in the same conversation with where Jordy was in his prime and Kenny Golladay and Allen Robinson. I truly believe that. Then you get to the next step here, Greg Jennings versus Jerry Jeudy now. Look, Greg Jennings was a great wide receiver. Actually, Greg Jennings was a really good wide receiver, really productive with Aaron Rodgers. He would be kind of like a modern-day Emmanuel Sanders or like Emmanuel Sanders 2 or 3 years ago. Good, overall, balanced receiver, not a true number one. And hell, we saw him go to Minnesota, get ripped away from Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, and he was just another guy. That's all he was. Green Bay was ready to let him go. I wish they did a better job to replace him than they did, but that's neither here nor there. Greg Jennings is not a better receiver than Jerry Jeudy. Now, we haven't seen the production from Jerry Jeudy. He had some frustrating drop issues last year. But if you're not willing to take that jump and say Aaron Rodgers wouldn't make Jerry Jeudy a better receiver than Greg Jennings, then that's all good and fine. But I am perfectly willing to make that jump. Jeudy is an elite level athlete, some of the best short area quickness you'll see, and one of the best route runners to ever come out of college. Yeah, he got a rough rookie season and a COVID year with Drew Lock throwing him the football and didn't produce at the level he was capable of. But you give him Aaron Rodgers in year two, he's going to be a better player than Greg Jennings. I firmly believe that, and if you disagree, that's fine. Then you keep going down the list. Fant over Finley. I mean, come on, people really disagreed with this? Finley, the concept of Jermichael Finley was always better than the actual player on the field. Seemed to show up every 4 or 5 weeks, but never a stable, productive player. Had drop issues, not a blocker. Noah Fant, an 80 PFF grade for Denver last year with Drew Lock. He'd be the best tight end Aaron Rodgers has ever had. He's the reason I'm confident making this tweet, because he is that third piece that would just transcend all of this. I mean, that's significant right there. KJ Hamler to Randall Cobb, for the sake of argument, let's call that a push. But Personally, I'd rather have KJ Hamler going into year 2 than Randall Cobb in his rookie season in 2011. Cobb was a kick returner, a guy that just kind of got in and out of the lineup. Hamler was that guy in his rookie year. But again, Hamler in year 2, a more explosive player with Aaron Rodgers, I think is a higher upside than Randall Cobb ever had. Tim Patrick to James Jones. Got pushback on this one. I mean, really, Packers fans? Are you that blind? I mean, either you don't watch the Broncos or you were just the biggest James Jones fan ever. James Jones was fine. He was a solid, capable, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. Tim Patrick he stepped in last year with the Sutton injury as a legitimate, balanced perimeter starter, like a quality starter. He's a bigger, faster version than James Jones. To counteract it, at least you call it a push, but Tim Patrick is better than James Jones. I get that James Jones once, led the league in touchdown passes. Well, that happens to happen when you're playing with Aaron Rodgers, who almost always leads the league in touchdown passes, and they have no one else to throw the football to. Look at Robert Tonyan this year. And then you got Donald Driver there at the bottom of the depth chart. Nice quality depth, a 62 PFF grade in 2011. That's at least counteracted by Albert O, Javonte Williams, Seth Williams, a really nice 5th-round pick with a ton of explosive upside. I really don't think this take is that bad, guys. Yes, I screwed up. Jordy Nelson was the best receiver out of this group. But again, is he that much better than Courtland Sutton, especially in 2011 when Jordy Nelson was just getting started? I don't think so. And we went down the rest of it. It leans Broncos in every direction. So 104 quote tweets as of this recording. Is it that bad of a take? I don't know. You guys will just have to let me know in the comments down below. I wanted to defend my case there. I thought it was a fun argument. And my God, I hope we see Aaron Rodgers on the Broncos so we can see this play out. I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, that's the video. Please do hit the like button if you enjoyed. And we'll see you guys in a couple days for the next deep dive. Peace out.